महाराज धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
हाँ धन्यवाद दीदी। हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। वंदे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वं भक्तवृन्दसमेतं श्री चैतन्य प्रभुं वंदे नित्यानंद सहोदितं श्रीनन्दनं वंदे राधिका चरणद्वयं गोपी जनसमायुक्तं वृंदावन मनोहरम् यस्यैकपादाम्बुजभक्तिलभ्या प्रेमाभिधाना परमपुमार्था तस्मिन् जगन्मङ्गलमङ्गलाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। उद्दामद्दामनगदाम गणाविराम राम राम विरामं गृहीतनाम कारुण्यधाम कनकोज्ज्वल गौरधाम चैतन्यचन्द्र परमं कलयाम धाम। First of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmati Gurupad Padma Nitila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivirajaka Acharya Varja Ashtottar Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Also offer obeisances to lotus feet of Tirandi Sannyasi Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Dandi Maharaj. Namnishta Santa Shri Aniruddhas Prabhuji, all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas have gathered here. Please accept my humble obeisances. Welcome to the class on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 2. A question is coming at the beginning of the class that I sent a message on WhatsApp. Deity, picture of the deity. Very stunning deity. This deity is from the Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj Gaudiya Math in Kantapada. This is in Balashwar district. Not very far from Remuna, where Madhavendra Puri Pad took Samadhi and where Khirjura Gopinath is there. Nearby there is a temple, this village. Once I visited there with the devotees, Sripad Dandi Maharaj also was there, and these deities are being worshipped there by Sripad Paryatak Maharaj. So that was the picture. So now we'll beginning our class. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastva Kashmala Vidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anaryajushtam Aswargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Kutastva Kashmala Vidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anaryajushtam Aswargam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Kutaha, where from? Tva, unto you, Kashmalam, dirtiness. Idam, this, lamentation, Vishame, in this hour of crisis. Samupasthidam, arrived. Anarya, persons who do not know the value of life. Jushtam, practiced by Aswargyam, which does not lead to higher planets. Akirti, infamy, Karam, the cause of Arjuna, O Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Bhagavan, namely Brahman, or the impersonal, all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma, or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all living entities, and Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus: Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdade. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, sun surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. One who understands the sun surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is composed, which is compared to the knowledge of Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal feature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Therefore, the Bhaktas or the Transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagwan feature of the Absolute Truth are the topmost Transcendentalists, although all students who are engaged in the study of the Absolute Truth are engaged in the same subject matter. The sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another. Yet the students of the three different phases are not in the same category. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parashar Muni, the father of Vyasadeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached. But no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayan, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to him, to or above him. He is the primeval Lord or Bhagavan, known as Govinda. He is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is a supreme person. His body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. In the Bhagavatam also there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. Ete chamsha kala pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. All the list of the incarnations of Godhead submitted here with are either plenary expansions or parts of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, the source of both the Super Soul and the impersonal Brahma. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming, and therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kuta, where from. Such impurities were never expected from a person belonging to the civilized uh, class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realization. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realization of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan. They are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was planning to fight. This
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranam, sorry, you went on. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, can other devotees hear me?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you.
Okay, oh, I think Maharaj's signal dropped. Wait for Maharaj to join. Thank you, Didi.
Yes, Didi. Welcome.
Hare Krishna, Didi. Please just bear with us. I think Maharaj's network, there was a problem, so we'll just wait about 15, 20 minutes and Maharaj should resummon himself. Sorry about that, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Nanga Mohan Prabhu, pranams, welcome. Prabhu, can you just sing a bhajan as we wait for Maharaj to reconnect because I think he had a problem with his data. It went off, so we're just waiting for him to come. So if you can kindly please sing a bhajan. So Maharaj.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीर वनचारी यमुनतीर वनचारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरवारधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरवारधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीर वनचारी यमुनतीर वनचारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरवारधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरवारधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीर वानचारी यमुनतीर वानचारी राधा रानी की जय महारानी की जय राधा रानी की जय महारानी की जय बोलो वर्षान वाली की जय 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 बोलो वर्षान वाली की जय 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 राधा रानी की जय महारानी की जय राधा रानी की जय महारानी की जय बोलो वर्षान वाली की जय 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 बोलो वर्षान वाली की जय 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 धन्यवाद आप साहब महाराज
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Nanga Mohan Prabhu, for that. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Prams. You still on mute? Oh, okay. Maharaj, you're on mute.
I'm having a problem with my connection. Am I
Sorry,
audible now?
Maharaj. Yes,
Am I
Maharaj,
audible?
now we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. Krishna tells Arjuna that his many good arguments are anadijustam, not befitting an Aryan. Arjuna's impurities will not lead him to Swargaloka, Aswargyam, and will only cause him infamy, Akirtikaram. In other words, Arjuna will become infamous in the present and then at death will not be awarded resonance in the higher planets. Therefore, Krishna does not approve of Arjuna's compassion. So this is what actually ISKCON version says, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Now Srila Gurudev's version, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anadyajushtam Aswargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Shri Bhagavan said, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Kutaha, whence has idam, this Kashmalam delusion, Samupasthitam, come, tva, to you, Vishame, in these adverse circumstances. It is Jushtam, practiced by the non-Aryans. It is karam, the cause of akirti, infamy, it asvargyam does not lead to swarga. Shri Bhagavan said to Arjuna, what is the cause of your delusion at this crucial hour? This is not at all proper for an Aryan. It will neither enhance your reputation nor lead you to Swargaloka. So in this second chapter, Bhagavan Shri Krishna Chandra delineates the symptoms of liberated persons. He removes the darkness caused by the lamentation and delusion by first giving the wisdom to discriminate between matter and spirit, the self. Kashmalam means delusion. Vishame means at this crucial moment or at the crisis of battle. Kutaha means what is the cause? And upasthitam means it has taken shelter in you. The word anarya implies that this action would not be appreciated by noble or respectable persons. And aswargyam, akirtikaram means that this action is unfavorable for the attainment of both mundane and transcendental happiness. So Dhritarashtra was pleased to know that even before the battle began, a religious feeling, dharma pravritti, had suddenly awakened within Arjuna's heart. Arjuna was expressing aversion to facing the battle by adhering to the principle of non-violence, considering it to be the supreme dharma, ahimsa paramo dharma. Dhritarashtra deliberated as follows. It would be fortuitous for us if this battle did not take place, because my sons could then be permanent sovereigns of the kingdom without any obstacle. However, he still inquired as to what happened next. Sanjay, who was endowed with fine intelligence, could understand Dhritarashtra's inner motive. Thus he very expertly detected the inference and crushed the hopes of the blind king. He said, even after seeing Arjuna in such a condition, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has not neglected him. Rather, he will instill that same natural propensity into the heart of Arjuna, with which he annihilated Madhu and other asuras. Through Arjuna, he will arrange the death of all your sons. Therefore, do not harbor any hope of attaining the kingdom without a battle. Sanjay continued describing to Dhritarashtra the statements of Shri Krishna. To fight is the Swadharma, prescribed duty of Kshatriyas. Why at this time of battle are you becoming averse to your Swadharma? To lose interest in this Dharma Yuddha, righteous battle is unfavorable for any higher attainment, anarya, that will give you moksha, swarga and fame. Such loss of interest destroys reputation and happiness in this material world, akirtikara. So here, very wonderful actually, this one. Arjuna, actually, he has a duty. He has to perform the duty of being a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya's job is to protect the kingdom. Prescribed duties. In Varnashram Dharma, you follow prescribed duties. And everyone has to follow some prescribed duty. If you are a lecturer, you have to give classes. If you are a scientist, you have to do research. You are a doctor, you have to treat the patients. And there are many devotees also, they are living and in household life also doing their duties. So there is no harm in doing that. We should try to all do our duties. But at the same time, Krishna will be telling later, Mam anusmara yuddhaja, that you remember me and you fight. So, smartavya satam Vishnu na vismartavya jatuchit sarva vidhi deshadevar etasyor kinkara. That always remember Vishnu and never forget him. And if we get any sinful reaction, some bad reaction, or any problems come in our life, then we should be equipoised and not be worried. Anuchitam uchitam va karma koyam vibhago bhagavati paramastam bhakti yogo dhradiyan. Kirti visha mahindra sandra piyusham endu dvayamapesa mahesho nirvishesham vivarti. Lord Shiva has a crescent moon on the head and he is also having a snake in his neck. A snake is very poisonous and the crescent moon is very, very cooling and full of nectar. Lord Shiva will treat both of them equally. So like that, happiness and distress, profit and loss, everything should be treated equally. Praise and criticism, we should all treat it equally. Sometimes we'll be praised and sometimes we'll be vilified, sometimes we'll be criticized, but we should not worry about it. We should always try to see that this is all mercy of Krishna. Tattenu kampam samikshamano bhunjane evatma kritam vipakam rudvag bapu virvidadan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadaya bhak. That, oh Krishna, this is my karma, let me suffer for it, and let me get rid of it, and let me surrender to you. Happiness and distress is same for me. So now Krishna is advising Arjuna in Shloka 3. Klebhyam masmaga mahapartha naitat tvai upapadyate kshudram rodhara dorbalyam taktopishta param tapa. He is telling of Partha, son of Prutha, Kunti, masmaga, do not take to klebhyam cowardice. Klebhyam means cowardice. Etat, this is na upapadyate, befitting tvai, unto you. Taktva, giving up kshudram, petty, dorbalyam, weakness, hridaya, heart, param tapa, or chastiser of the enemy, uttishta, arise. So he is telling Arjuna that, oh Partha, do not yield to such cowardice. It does not befit you. Abandon this petty weakness of heart. Oh param tapa, and rise to battle. So Krishna is actually now instilling some strength in him. That is the Guru's job. Many times we become very worried what will happen. We are not advancing in bhakti, but Guru will give us hope. He tells, don't worry, don't lament. So like here, see Nityananda Prabhu also like that. Nityananda Prabhu's approach was somewhat peculiar. Guru is also Nityananda Prabhu. So here it is told that Nityananda Prabhu's approach was somewhat peculiar. His strategy was to uplift the most fallen. Generally, we try to avoid the most fallen. But Nityananda Prabhu used to go especially to the most fallen, who no one is accepting them. Like Napoleon, whose policy was to attack the strongest position of the opposing army. Nityananda Prabhu wanted to capture the most sinful. Generally, we think that the saint flies away from this world of Maya and goes to a solitary place where we can enter into a cave and engage himself in meditation. Indian saints generally preach, give up everything, go to a solitary place in the jungle, find a cave and engage yourself fully in understanding Godhead. But our Guru Maharaj, means Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Rakshakshadhar Maharaj is writing, but our Guru Maharaj was different. Like Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, he wanted to attack Maya, and like a great general, he declared totalitarian war on illusion and even all other existing conceptions of religion. Why is there this misunderstanding and misconception, he thought? Everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. It is plain and simple and sweet. How can we think this is for me, that is for him? Why should we let this misconception stand here at all? Attack it and crush the whole thing. He told us Kirtan means to preach against misconception. As soldiers, you must go door to door and preach Krishna consciousness, Krishna's interest, the Krishna conception. If they understand that everything is for Krishna, they will be saved. This truth is plain and simple. Why should they not understand this? Try to capture them, to release them from the world of misconception and misunderstanding, where they are now suffering from reaction. In this way, we are not afraid of anything. A Vaishnava who loved solitary life once asked our Guru Maharaj, why do you stay at Kolkata? This is the place of Satan, where fighting for selfish interest is so acute. Leave that, come to the Holy Dham. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur especially chose that place, saying, I prefer to represent Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's creed in an extremely contaminated place. For this reason, he wanted to send men to the West. The East is captured by the glamour of Western civilization, he said. So Western civilization must first be crushed. Then its glamour will vanish and the whole world will come to join the campaign of divine love of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was the same spirit with which Nityananda Prabhu canvassed the fallen souls of this world in his attempt to take them to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you see that here, preaching means also war actually. Kurukshetra war is there, and then there is also this war. What Arjuna is waging. Preaching is a war, and this Kurukshetra is also war. So here the word klebam means unworthiness or impotence in the form of cowardice. Impotence actually. So Krishna is using very harsh words. He's telling Arjuna, don't be impotent. Krishna is saying, O Partha, in spite of being the son of Purtha, you are behaving like a coward. For this purpose, Sri Bhagavan uses the word masmagamaha. Do not be a coward. He's saying such apparent cowardice befits a low-class Kshatriya. But you are my friend, therefore in no way does it befit you. Arjuna may say, O Krishna, do not doubt my lack of courage. I am enthusiastic to fight. Rather, please understand that from a dharmic point of view, my decision not to fight is a sign of discrimination. To show respect to my gurus such as Bhishma and Drona. It is a symptom of my compassion for the sons of Dhritarashtra, who are weak and about to die from wounds caused by my weapons. Krishna replies, my answer to this is Kshudram. This is not discrimination and compassion, but lamentation and delusion. Both reveal the weakness of your mind. Therefore, O Paramtapa, abandon the weakness of heart and stand up and fight. Para refers to enemies and Tapa to the act of chastising them. So Arjuna is calling him Paramtapa. Sarvatha Varshini Prakashika Vritti, Shri Bhagavan said, for Kshatriyas who are brave and situated in their Swadharma, to be cowardly in battle is not befitting or glorious. Having been born of Putha, from the portion of Devaraj Indra, because Kunti had benediction from Durvasa, so she invited Indra for begetting a child. You are as brilliant and powerful as he. Means Arjuna is no less than Indra. Besides this, since I am the Mahamaheshwara, the supreme controller, you are my friend, you are therefore very influential. So it is not befitting for you to be cowardly. If you claim that such behavior is not cowardice but wisdom and compassion, then my reply is that this is not true. This is not wisdom and compassion, it is lamentation and delusion. Born from weakness of mind. Wisdom and compassion do not give rise to confusion and delusion. From your previous statements, nacha shaknomi avasthatam brahmativa chame mana. It is clear that your mind is reeling. It is appropriate to mention here that once, being pleased by the service of Kunti, the sage Durvasa gave her a boon in the form of a mantra by which she could summon any devata to appear before her and fulfill her desires. On the order of Maharaj Pandu, Kunti chanted the mantra to call Dhruv Dharma, Yamaraj, Vayu and Indra. As a result, Yudhishthir, Bhima and Arjun respectively were born. Through the twin Ashwini Kumaras, Pandu's second wife Madri gave birth to Nakul and Sahadev. So Arjuna is actually very, very powerful because he is son of Indra and Kunti. Understand? He is born from the Amsha of Indra actually. And he is also a friend of Krishna, he is an eternal associate of Krishna. So this is not ordinary. This is very, very nice. So here you see that Arjuna is showing cowardice, and that's why Krishna is again and again insisting. So you Krishna is telling Klabdam Masmagama Partha Naita Tui Upabaddhate Kshudram Hridaya Durbalyam Tattva Tishta Paramtapa. Klabdam means importance. Masma, do not, Gamaha, take to. Partha, O son of Purtha, na etat Tui Upabaddhate. Na means never. Etat this, Tui unto you. Upapaddhati is befitting. Shudram, petty. Hridaya of the heart. Durbalyam, weakness. Tattva, giving up. Uttishta, get up. Param tapa, or chastise of the enemies. O son of Purtha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart. And arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna was addressed as the son of Prutha, who happened to be the sister of Krishna's father Vasudeva. Therefore, Arjuna had a blood relationship with Krishna. If the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. And if the son of a Brahman acts impiously, he is a Brahman in name only. Such Kshatriyas and Brahmanas are unworthy sons of their fathers. Therefore, Krishna did not want Arjuna to become an unworthy son of a Kshatriya. Arjuna was the most intimate friend of Krishna, and Krishna was directly guiding him on the chariot. But in spite of all these credits, if Arjuna abandoned the battle, he would be committing an infamous act. Therefore, Krishna said that such an attitude in Arjuna did not fit his personality. Arjuna might argue that he could give up the battle on the grounds of his magnanimous attitude for the most respectable Bhishma and his relatives. But Krishna considered that sort of magnanimity mere weakness of heart. Such false magnanimity was not approved by any authority. Therefore, such magnanimity or so-called non-violence should be given up by persons like Arjuna under the direct guidance of Krishna. You see, O son of Prutha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Krishna immediately decries Arjuna's decision with the word klebem, importance. Kshatriyas are by nature proud and virile. By accusing Arjuna of impotence and weakness, Krishna slaps Arjuna. Simultaneously, Krishna reminds Arjuna of his great heritage by addressing him as Partha. Arjuna is the son of Lord Indra, who is a great warrior and a king of the heavenly planets. Krishna wants to know how someone with such a high birth could act more like a Kshatra Bandhu, simply a member of a Kshatriya family, than an actual Kshatriya. Srila Prabhupada says, if the son of a Kshatriya declines to fight, he is a Kshatriya in name only. Krishna has not only accepted Arjuna's numerous arguments, Krishna has not accepted Arjuna's numerous arguments. Shudra means low class and petty. Krishna directs this insult at Arjuna to challenge him and stir his Kshatriya blood. Arjuna responds in the next verse and tries to disprove Krishna's analysis. So you see that here Arjuna wants to justify now, but Krishna is calling him coward actually. So we should not be coward. And in life also, in preaching also, we should not be coward actually. So actually Gita is activation for the lazy. It is courage for the coward and hope for the hopeless. And new life for the dying. See, Gita unifies and sustains all ranks. Whether revolutionist, occultist, optimist, renunciationist, liberationist, or full-fledged theist. From the atheist of grossly crude vision to the most elevated saint, the essential conceptions of all classes of philosophers are dealt with in clear and forceful logic. The fruity worker, the learned, and the yoga practitioner, karmi, jnani, and yogi, and the devotee of Lord will find herein a comprehensive and illuminating exposition on the substance of their respective philosophies. And thus, the book is highly esteemed by all. The essential teachings of the Vedas and Upanishads of the Aryans is directly explained, and upon a little closer scrutiny, the gist of various non-Aryan doctrines may also be detected in the text. Within the purport of Sri Gita, we find that the purification of consciousness through wisdom arises from materially unmotivated performance of scripturally enjoined duties, resulting in self-knowledge, absolute existential knowledge, or divine realization. In full maturity, this pure, spotless perception culminates in the quest for loving service in pure cognition. In the divine ecstatic realm, in the analysis of Sambandha Gyan, or knowledge of divine relationship, Sri Gita has revealed that the nature of the most original truth is a transcendental, all-conscious personality. In the analysis of Prayojan, or the supreme objective, internal inspiration of pure love in pursuit of the supreme absolute reality has been mentioned as the perfectional attainment. And in the analysis of Abhideya, or the method of attaining the desired goal, the first stage has been revealed as offering all one's actions to the Supreme Lord, followed by the cultivation of internal self-knowledge, which arises according to one's progressive realization of the Lord. Finally, by giving up all other endeavors, one surrenders exclusively unto the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. In other words, by taking shelter of pure unalloyed faith, one is situated in one's perfected divine identity and engages in divine loving service to the Lord, which is the ultimate goal of all devotional practices. Shri Gita has clearly distinguished and delineated the characteristics of the non-devotional paths based on action, karma and knowledge, jnana, and their corresponding achievable objectives of sense enjoyment, kama, and liberation, moksha. Therefore, the intelligent can note that by the statement yoya shraddha saivasa, one is identified by his particular faith. Shri Gita has drawn an objective comparison of different paths of their goal and their goals, thus disarming and exposing those who create confusion by supporting the concoction that the many paths and goals are all one. In this respect, the following verses of 6:46-47 deserve special attention. Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo pi matodhika, karmibhyascha yogi tasmat yogi bhavarjuna. Yoginam api sarvesham maddatinantaratmana shraddhavanyo bhajate mam same yuktatamo mata. Tyaga or renunciation has been completely condemned and its futility has been emphatically asserted. This proclamation shows the conclusive intrinsic gift of Shri Gita. Karma Yoga, or offering one's actions to the Supreme Lord without provincial interest, is preferred above Karma Yoga, Karma Tyaga, or renunciation of action, and finally, full self-surrender to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna with every action dedicated by divine inspiration in his loving service is the ultimate and supreme teaching of Shri Gita. One will find it to be the king of all scriptures as the bestower of the highest devotion. In its full-fledged nature, this devotion is the most supreme divine love for the all-attractive supreme personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, reality the beautiful. So you'll see that Gita is such an important scripture. Bhakti Rakshak Maharaj is glorifying Gita like anything. So you see that here, now giving his arguments. Arjuna Uvacha, text number 4. Arjuna Uvacha, Katham Vishwamaham Sankhe Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami Pujarha Varisudana. Katham Vishwam Aham Sankhe Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami Pujarha Varisudana. Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna said, Uvacha means said, Katham, how? Bhishma, Aham, I, Sankhe in the fight, Dronam, Dronacha. Madhusudana, or killer of Madhu, Ishubhi, with arrows, Pratiyotsyami, shall counteract. Puja Harahu, those who are worshipable, Arisudana, O killer of enemies. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? Respectable superiors like Bhishma, the grandfather, and Dronacharya, the teacher, are always worshipable. Even if they attack, they should not be counterattacked. It is general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. Even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. Then how is it possible for Arjuna to counteract them? Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather Ugrasen or his teacher Sandipani Muni? These were some of the arguments offered by Arjuna to Krishna. So here, Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I attack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? Arjuna wants Krishna to know that his decision not to fight is due to strong-heartedness, not weak-heartedness. As Srila Prabhupada mentions, offering even a verbal argument to one's superiors, offering even a verbal argument to one's superiors transgresses very etiquette. What to speak of fighting and killing them? According to Srila Vishwanath Thakur, by addressing Krishna as Madhusudana and Arisudana, Arjuna calls attention to the fact that Krishna is a killer of his enemies, not of his guru and grandfather. Arjuna would prefer to offer flowers at the feet of Drona and Bhishma, not arrows. But how would Arjuna maintain himself if he were to give up his duty as a warrior and not fight? That's $1 million question, understand? So here, Arjuna vacha katham vishwam aham sankhe dronam cha madhusudana ishubhi pratiyotsyami pujarhava arisudana. Arjuna vacha. Arjuna said, O Madhusudan, Arisudan, O slayer of the enemies, katham, how, aham, pratiyotsyami, shall I counterattack? Ishubhi with arrows, sankhe in the battle, Bhishmam, grandsire Bhishma, Cha and Dronam, Dronacharya, Puja Arhau, who are worthy of my worship. Arjuna said, O Madhusudan, O Arisudan, slayer of enemies, how can I fight with arrows in battle? Grandsire Bhishma and Dronacharya, who are my worshipable superiors. Sarada Varshini, in answering the question as to why he is not fighting, Arjuna claims that according to Dharma Shastra, violating the honor of a worshipable personality brings inauspiciousness. Therefore, I shall not fight. To support his action, he speaks this shloka, beginning with Katham. And if Krishna says, Bhishma and Drona are fighting against you, so how can you not fight back? Then Arjuna may answer, because I consider them to be my puja, worshipable. It is therefore right that I not fight with them. It is proper for me to angrily pierce with sharp arrows those persons at whose feet. Is it proper for me to angrily pierce with sharp arrows those persons at whose feet I should offer flowers with devotion? No, it is not proper. So Arjuna is telling, I cannot offer arrows to those who are worthy of receiving flowers from me. By addressing Shri Krishna as Madhusudan, Arjuna is presenting this logic. Oh dear friend, you have also killed enemies in battle, but you have not killed your guru, Sandipani Muni, nor your relatives, the Yadus. So, you who are known as Madhusudana, killer of Madhu and Madhu's enemies, Yadus, your relatives. No, this is not. Madhu was your enemy, Ari, therefore have addressed you as Arisudan, the killer of enemies. Sandipani Muni was a famous sage belonging to the Kashyapa dynasty, who lived in the city of Avanti, the present day Ujjain. When enacting their human-like pastimes in order to set an example for others, Jagadguru Sri Krishna and Baladev accepted him as their Shiksha Guru. While living in his ashram, they performed the pastime of learning the 64 arts in 64 days. In his Digdarshani commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vishwanath Thakur has indicated that Sandipani Muni was a Shaivite, a follower of Lord Shiva. Why then did Krishna and Baladev accept him as their guru? In answer to this, Vishwanath Thakur writes that if they had accepted a Vaishnava guru, he would have immediately recognized Sri Krishna as Swayam Bhagavan, and the pastime of learning would not have taken place. Therefore, these two brothers intentionally went to the Shaivite Sandipani Muni, son of the renowned Yogamaya Purnamasi of Vraja. The famous friends of Krishna, Madhumangal and Nandimukhi, are the son and daughter of Sandipani Muni. So, Arjuna says, I don't want to kill my relatives and especially my guru, my grandfather. So, again he is telling the same thing in the verse 5, supporting his argument. Gurun ahatvahi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaiksham api haloke hatvarta kamamstu kurun ihaiva bhunjiya bhogan rudira pradabdan. Understand? So, you see that here Arjuna is not want to fight. And Krishna is insisting. He's telling again and again, you must fight. So actually the transcendental world is something quite new to us. So we don't know what is transcendental world. It is very difficult to get out of this superstition of so-called truth here. But still it is necessary that we accept that anything and everything is possible with God. You see that Arjuna is also kind of superstitious. Understand? He is not superstitious, he is the eternal associate of Krishna, but he is exhibiting some superstition for our benefit. So that Krishna will speak Bhagavad Gita to him and remove his superstition. So, but Krishna can remove the superstition. Because Krishna is the master of impossibilities. He can make possible, impossible and impossible possible. Possibility and impossibility are found only in our dictionary. You see that we have the word possible and impossible. It's impossible. But yet even Napoleon wanted to remove the word impossible. He said impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Napoleon used to say impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Our dictionary should not have this word. So you see that how are we to understand that the original guru of our sampradaya becomes bewildered? This is a question actually. You see in Brahma Vimohan Leela, Lord Brahma, he actually stole the calves and covered boys. Understand? He became bewildered. It is impossible, but we must suspend our knowledge. Jnane prayasa mudapasya namantameva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadi avartam. Sthane sitashatigatam tanumang manovirpraye prayeshvajita jitopite slokyam. It is impossible to conquer Krishna, but those who hear Harikatha, they can conquer Krishna. Not by impersonal knowledge, ascending knowledge, we cannot achieve lotus feet of Krishna. We must accept the descending knowledge, descending from the spiritual master, and give oral reception to the Harikatha of spiritual master and Vaishnavas. Then only Krishna is controlled. So we may take it that Krishna is playing hide and seek, perhaps with Brahma or Gurudev. It is like a game of hide and seek. Sometimes Krishna is defeating others and sometimes is defeated. You see that Krishna and Balaram also, they took education in Sandipani Muni's ashram. You see that Krishna and Balaram you can see also. When Krishna and Balaram are playing with their friends in the jungle, they generally play in two groups. Krishna is in one group and Balaram is in another. Krishna is considered to be less strong than Balaram. Balaram was the strongest person there. And the next strongest was Shridham. So Shridham used to play on the side of Krishna. Whenever Balaram was defeated, he would become enraged. Krishna would diplomatically help his own team, and when Balaram saw that his own team was disloyal due to Krishna's tricks, he would turn to his younger brother Krishna and say, I shall punish you. But Krishna would say, no, you cannot punish me. Mother Yashoda has entrusted me in your care. You can't mistreat me. So, one day Balaram slapped Krishna, but Krishna went to Mother Yashoda and told on him. Balaram was very disturbed and said, I slap you once and you complain to your mother that I do not love you. Krishna, how could you do this? At last Krishna was perplexed and accepted his defeat. So Krishna Lila moves in a crooked way. Ahereva gatir premna. How the prema moves. Like the snake you might have seen. Snake never goes straight. Ahereva gatir premna. Sabhavo kutila bhavet. Ator hetur ahetasya yunam maram. This fundamental point. The foundation of our understanding about Krishna Lila has been given by Rupa Goswami in this verse. He says, don't be eager to find reason everywhere in the pastimes of divinity. They are naturally crooked. In Krishna Lila we find that although no part is defective, still one will find fault with another and begin a quarrel. No defect can be found there, but still, for the necessity of Leela, false defects are found and some quarrel begins. This is the meaning of Leela, pastimes. What we find here, by necessity flows there automatically. We can't try to apply our reason or our standard measurement to the movements of the infinite. And whatever gain we have made by connecting with that flow of Leela will be lost in our attempts to measure it. That will be the only consequence of our analysis. So we should try to have a taste of Leela with a submissive attitude. Sometimes reason, logic, and analysis are necessary, but only to preach to the people in general who have a lower understanding. Only for the purpose of preaching to people addicted to reason do we have to take the help of reason. But when devotion becomes automatic, anurag, then both reason and scripture are left in the subterranean position. There is no place for scriptural arguments there. To a certain extent, reason is necessary for our development up to Vaidhi Bhakti, the elementary stages of devotion. But above that, it has no use. Anurag bhajan is automatic. That is the nature of Leela. Ahereva gatir premana. Everything there moves by his own sweet will. Sweet will means that it is not a fixed program. It moves in such a way that we can't say it will pass by this road. When the Maharaj of Mysore used to drive into town, he would not speak to his driver, giving him directions which way to go. Because if any fixed program were arranged, then his life might be in danger. So whenever he would come to a crossing in the road, he would touch his stick to a particular shoulder of the driver. If at the crossing the Maharaj wanted to go to the right, he would touch the driver on his right shoulder. In this way, he would never disclose which way he would go. But only at the last moment, he would beckon the driver to take a particular course. So Krishna's divine movements are kept in reserve by his own sweet will. All rights reserved. We want to search for some law above his sweet will, but this is inconsistent. It is self-contradictory. On the one side, we say that Krishna moves by his own sweet will, but on another side, we try to find some law governing his movement. This is a contradiction. Leela moves by sweet will. When we say it is Leela, then we can't give it any shape to that. We can say that it is shown in a particular place in a particular way, but we cannot be sure whether today the same course will be taken. This is why we find differences in the explanations given by even about different Leelas in different ages. Jiva Goswami explained that the reason for different descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord in the Puranas is because at one point Leela was played in one way, another time it was played in another way. So we find differences even in the explanations of the same pastime. So you see that Bhagavad Gita is also like a sweet pastime. We cannot ask, oh, why Arjuna was perplexed? He's such a strong warrior, he's an eternal associate of Krishna. It is Krishna's sweet will. He wants to reveal Bhagavad Gita to us. So scholars may challenge, why is that somewhere in Padma Puran the Leela is mentioned in this way, but in the Bhagavad Puran reveals the description in another way? Why does Harivamsha differ from Mahabharata? We say that in different kalpas or ages, the pastimes are enacted in different ways. In infinite ways, a particular Leela of the Lord may be represented within the world because He is infinite, independent, and absolute. So, leaving aside all doubts and suspicions, we shall be most generous in approaching the absolute, free from all inhibitions. We shall approach Him with that spirit and try more and more to leave aside our past prejudices and precedents, the records of our past experience. So you see that here, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explains that these pastimes of Krishna also, Bhagavad Gita and all, they are performed by his own sweet will. So Arjuna is perplexed here, but this is also the will of Krishna. Now Arjuna what is telling? Gurun hatvahi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktam bhaksham apiya loke hatvartha kamasta gurun nihaiva bhunjiya bhogan rudirat pratikta. Gurun ahatvahi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktam bhaksham apiya loke hatvartha kamasta gurun nihaiva bhunjiya bhogan rudirat pratikta. Gurun, the superiors, ahatva, not killing, he certainly, maha anubhavan, great souls. Shreya, it is better, bhoktum, to enjoy life, bhaksham, by begging, api, even here in this life, loki, in this world. Hatva, killing, artha, gain, kaman, desiring to, but gurun, superiors, here in this world, eva, certainly, bhunjiya, one has to enjoy. Bhogan, enjoyable things. Rudhira, blood, pratikdan, tempted with. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So, according to the scriptural quotes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial consideration. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers. But Arjuna thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. So you see here that it will be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Again, Kshatriyas do not beg, they rule. Without a kingdom, Arjun would have nothing to rule. Arjun is well aware of that, but he prefers the embarrassment of begging to the sinful reaction for killing his worshipable superiors. Although his present life would be difficult, his future life would not be stained with the sin of killing his guru. Arjun, strongly justifying his position, continues in the next verse to give his fifth and final reason not to fight. Refer to in the comment to Gita, Bhagavad Gita 1.27. So you see here that Arjuna is giving argument after argument. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaiksham apiha loke hatvartha kaman. To Gurun hyaiva bhunjiya bhogan dirak pratikdan. He is certainly shreyan better bhoktum to maintain my life here loke in this world bhaiksham by begging ahatva by not killing. Mahanubhavan, great personalities who are my gurus, api, even though arthakaman, motivated by wealth, they are eva, certainly gurun superiors to, but hatva, by killing here in this world, bhunjiya, one has to enjoy bhogan, sense enjoyments, pratikdan, tainted, rudira with blood. It would be better to maintain my life in this world by begging than to kill these great personalities who are my gurus. Even though motivated by material gain, they remain my superiors. After killing them, any worldly enjoyment I might attain would certainly be tainted by their blood. Arjuna is saying to Krishna, if you ask how I will maintain my life if I do not desire to accept the kingdom, my answer is that it is better for me to eat food acquired by begging, an act condemned for Kshatriyas, than to kill my gurus. Even though I may be defamed in this world for such an act, inauspiciousness will not fall upon me. It is not proper to abandon my gurus simply because they are following the proud and adharmic Duryodhana, who is unable to discriminate between what is just and what is not. If you say that it is recommended in Dharma Shastra, Mahabharata, Udyog Parva to reject the guru if he is proud, unable to discriminate between good and bad actions, and engage in abominable activities, then my reply to is Mahanubhava. Where is the possibility of these defects in such personalities as Bhishma and Drona, who have conquered lust, time, and so forth? It may then be argued, although a man is a servant of wealth, wealth is not the servant of anyone. This is confirmed in Bhishma's statement to Yudhishthira Maharaj. O Maharaj, it is true that I am bound by the wealth of the Kauravas. Thus, if you say that his reputation as a Mahanubhava, great personality, has already been ruined by the word Arthakami, one desirous of wealth, then I must reply, yes, this is true. Still, if I kill them, I will only feel distress. reason I am using the word arthakaman, desirous of wealth. How can I enjoy the objects of the senses if I kill all the Kauravas who are very greedy for wealth, when such objects will be tainted with their blood? In other words, despite their greed for wealth, they will always be my gurus. I will become a traitor by killing them, and any pleasure derived will be adulterated with sinful deeds. As though inattentive to Krishna's words, due to being overpowered by grief and delusion, Arjuna once more asserted, I consider it extremely inauspicious and sinful to kill my gurus. Dronacharya, Krupacharya, and my most worshipable grandsire Bhishma were standing before me in this battle array. What to speak of my own family members and relatives? Just for the sake of this petty material kingdom, the chance of a place in the higher planets is completely lost for one who kills such gurus. Therefore, I consider it better to maintain my life in this world by begging. It is stated in Kurma Puran, Upadhyaya Pitah Jeshta Bhrata Chaiva Mahipati Matula Shashurastrata Mata Mahapitamaho Bandhur Jeshtaha Pitruvyascha Pumshete Guravasmata. He who instructs the Vedas, the father, elder brother, king, maternal uncle, father-in-law, protector, maternal grandparents, paternal grandparents, relatives, and those who are elderly, all are considered one's gurus. Dronacharya and Krupacharya were born in high-class Brahman families. Besides knowledge of Dhanurveda, the science of archery, they were also scholars of the Vedas and Dharma Shastras and were dharmic by nature. Even on the battlefield, Arjuna saw them as his gurus. Dronacharya, who had foreseen the possibility of war, made Arjuna take a vow that if for any reason they come face to face in battle, Arjuna must fight with him. Grandsire Bhishma, the son of King Shantanu and Ganga Devi, remained a lifelong celibate. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, he was a bhakta of Sri Krishna, extremely chivalrous, in control of his senses, generous, a knower of the absolute truth, and by vow bound to speak the truth. Even death was under his control. He is prominent among the 12 Mahajans. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishma Balirvaya Saki Vayam Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus Bhishma, the knower of the absolute truth and the spiritual master of the whole world, was Arjuna's teacher in the same category as Dronacharya. Even though he supported the Kauravas in their fight against the Pandavas, who were devotees of Sri Krishna, he is Krishna's very dear bhakta, and he acts only for his pleasure. Bhishma is counted among the Gyani Bhaktas. He said to Yudhishthir Maharaj, what can I say? I am completely bound by the wealth, salary of the Kauravas. Although it is not my desire, I have to fight on their side. But I give you this boon. You will be victorious in the battle. Here, grandsire Bhishma externally appears to be greedy for wealth and dependent on others, but in fact, he is the master of his senses, supremely independent. Therefore, to glorify him in the present shloka, Shuddha Saraswati has combined the two words, he and Mahanubhavan, into Himahanubhavan. Hima indicates ice or snow. That which destroys Hima is called Himaha, sun or fire, and Anubhavan means one who has the capability. Therefore, a person who is extremely powerful like the sun or fire is Himanubhavan. The powerful sun and fire can burn all impure objects without becoming contaminated themselves. They always remain pure. Similarly, Bhishma is Himanubhavan. Himanubhavan, a greatly powerful person. It is in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said in Bhagavatam that fire can burn all pure and impure objects and is thus known as Sarvabhu, that which can consume everything without becoming impure itself. Similarly, even if a pure and powerful person appears to transgress the principles of etiquette of dharma, he remains completely free from all defects. Someone may say that the powerful Bhishma committed no injustice by taking the side of the Kauravas and fighting Pandavas. One may question, however, how Krishna's Param Bhakta would pierce the body of his worshipable Lord with sharp arrows. Is this a symptom of his bhakti? In answer, it is said, to allure the asuras, Shri Krishna made his great devotee Mahadev Shankar preach Mayavad, which is nothing but covered Buddhism and is against the principles of the Vedas. From an external perspective, this does not seem to be bhakti, but from the transcendental perspective, it is bhakti, because Mahadev simply carried out the orders of Bhagavan to bewilder the asuras. So Mahadev, being a great devotee of Krishna, assisted him in relieving the earth of asuric forces by instigating and supporting Banasura's fight against Lord. Alone, Banasura would never have dared to fight with Krishna and thereby would not have been eliminated. Just as Mahadev, taking the side of his own devotee, Banasura personally fought with Shri Krishna. Similarly, grandsire Bhishma is siding with the Kauravas and fighting against his lord. Where then is the question of his bhakti being lost? To relieve mother from the burden of asuric forces, Shri Krishna wanted to annihilate them in the Mahabharata conflict and thus re-establish Dharma. If grandsire Bhishma and gurus like Dronacharya and others had not assisted the opposing asuric side, the battle at Kurukshetra would never have been possible. Therefore, by omniscient Shri Krishna's own will, Yoga Maya inspired Bhishma to fight on the side of the opposing party. Thus Bhishma performed this act for the pleasure of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarvesha kripa sindhivesha padanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namah. We are in the middle of the 5th verse of the 2nd chapter. Very interesting discussion actually. Arjuna doesn't want to fight and Krishna is again and again telling him to fight. So Arjuna is afraid of losing dharma actually. But actually we should not be afraid at all. Surrender to Krishna and we'll be happy. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Suddenly my different program I was using, it couldn't get to calendar actually. Hare Krishna. Alright. Thank you, Didi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
See you tomorrow for Madhurya Kadambini.
Oh, tomorrow, okay, alright. Please send, I think, what page number? So I will start from there, okay? Hare Krishna. I was audible, actually, you could listen?
Yes, Marge, your sound is coming and going, but it's here.
Okay, because I was using the tablet and suddenly it just could not connect actually. So that was the problem actually. So I had to switch to the phone. In the middle of the class, the tablet just... Yeah. Sometimes it happens actually. Computers are
March,
unpredictable.
tomorrow Madhurya Kadambini. On PDF, it's page 150. Hare Krishna, Marge. Sorry, you're mute. Tomorrow Madhurya Kadambini PDF, page 150.
Okay. All right, then
Thank you, Marge. I will send you the...
at 108, right? Yeah. We'll
Sorry,
discuss
Marge?
tomorrow. Anyone has any questions today? Hare
Krishna, thank you. No,
Thank you.
okay.
Hare
Ananga Mohan Prabhu, Jai Jivani, please. Thank you, Krishna.
श्री श्री गुरु गौरंग गंधर्विक गिरिधारी राधा विनोद बिहारी जी की जय। ओम विष्णु पार्श्वतर शता श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत विष्णु देति गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। ओम विष्णु पार्श्वतर शता श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत दंडी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय।
जय जय
प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शता श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शता श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय।
जय जय
नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शता श्री श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज की जय।
जय जय जय
प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शता श्री श्रीमद भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की
जय जय
लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र शता श्री श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय जय
प्रविष्ट रम भगवत प्रभारा श्री श्रीला गौर किशोर दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय।
जय जय जय
प्रविष्ट श्री श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय।
जय जय
प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की
जय जय
ग्रंथाचार्य श्री श्रील बलदेव विद्याभूषण प्रभु की जय।
जय
विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय।
जय
श्रील नरोत्तम श्रीनिवास श्यामानंद प्रभु त्राय की जय।
जय जय
कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय।
जय
श्री
जय
धन्यवाद रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल दास रघुनाथ सत गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय।
जय
स्वरूप दामोदराय रामानंदादि श्री गौर प्रसाद वृंद की जय।
जय जय
आर्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसति गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री अंतर्दीप मायापुर सीमा
जय जय
द्वीप माध्यादीप कोलद्वीप द्वीप जानुद्वीप मुद्रा द्रुमद्वीप रुद्रद्वीप पद्मकार श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपाल गोपी गोवर्धन द्वादश भरतमकार श्री व्रजमंडल की जय। श्री राध कुंड श्याम कुंड यमुना तुलसी भक्ति देव की जय। श्रीमती देव की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग की जय। श्री गोपीश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ देव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र जीव की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल की जय। सर्व विघ्न विनाशकारी श्री नरसिंहदेव की जय। भक्त प्रभात महाराज की जय। शारदा जय। चार संप्रदाय की जय। चार की जय। अकंठ मात की जय।
जय जय
श्री केशव जी गौरियमात हो तत्सतमा समहा की जय। ग्रंथ भागवतम की जय। श्री नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री नित्य गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि
जय श्री मोहन प्रभु जी की जय। हरे कृष्ण। थैंक यू सो मच। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, March. Thank you, dear devotees, for being in this whole tomorrow of Dhamma. Hare Krishna. Anshakapatruyasya kripa sindhubhyo
Pattanam pavanam vishnuਭ్యో namo namaha. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.